After several fits and starts, the garden is finally up and running. And I'm really happy that I decided to plant okra. They put out flowers for pollinators and surprisingly sweet fruit. The sunflowers are already big, the loofah has started to climb, and I have collards in a number of beds. With things set up, I wanted to get away for a few days. But if you have a garden, you know it is a hassle to figure out what to do about watering while you're gone. I thought about putting in drip irrigation now that I had plenty of water from the rain barrels, but that was going to take time I didn't have because my camping trip was only a couple of days away, so I had to come up with something else. I did a little research, and there were a number of ideas I found online. And then I remembered one of my subscribers mentioned Oya pots, and that they worked well for him to water his plants. They come in different sizes, and everyone seems to swear by them. My problem was that I didn't have enough time to order and install them before I planned to go camping. So, what could I do to create something that worked in the same way? Some videos suggested plastic bottles with a couple of holes in the side bottom and closing the top tightly. Getting the top on tightly was key to cause the water to slowly release. But that was easier said than done, and all the water drained out during my attempts. Then I decided to test using a larger container, thinking that would make it easier to close the top. But this too was a fail. And then I watched a video of a young woman setting up a watering system for a houseplant by pushing a wine bottle into the dirt around the plant. It was worth a try on a larger scale. I filled the wine bottle with water. And then pushed it into the ground around some tomato plants. And what do you know? It worked. The water sat there, and you could see every now and then when the plant took a drink as bubbles formed. I only had 3 wine bottles and a 1-liter plastic bottle, but that would work for the beds that needed water the most. For the beds under the shade cover, I simply gave them a really good drink and figured the canopy and mulch would prevent them from drying out while I was gone. The next day, Sunny Girl and I were ready to head out for a couple of days of camping near the beach. But life was working against us. We ran into traffic due to work on the local 3-mile bridge. And once we got past the traffic, the van started to overheat. I learned that the cap had come off the reservoir that controlled the radiator and had to be towed back home to replace it. 2 hours later, me and Sunny Girl were not going to be denied our camping trip. We set off in a different direction, away from that bridge, and arrived at the state park 30 minutes before the gate would close for admission. We found our campsite, then began setting up camp to have a little dinner. Followed by watching a couple of movies and wondering just a little about the garden. The next day we had breakfast and prepared to make the rounds of the park. Sunny Girl really likes her cart because her head is just high enough over the top to bark at people as we whiz by. We ran into several gophers taking in the morning sun as well. Later, I spent a little time walking down the beach. And we even went down a few trails over the 2 days. It felt good to just relax. On the way home, I couldn't help but wonder how well the garden beds had managed. I was pleasantly surprised to find the peppers that wilted daily were looking just fine. And so were the tomatoes, only the 1-liter plastic bottle had shrunk as the water drained out. The collards, too, had water left in the bottle and looked pretty happy despite the heat. So now I plan to place more bottles around the other beds that may need a little extra water. In fact, I've asked my neighbors to give me any large glass bottles they might have planned to recycle so I can use them in my garden. If all else fails, I'll just buy a few Oyas. See you next time.